I never thought a simple tube of lipstick could change how I saw myself, or how the world might see me. My name is Ryan, and for as long as I can remember, I've carried this quiet fascination with femininity. It wasn't something I shared with anyone. Not my friends, not my coworkers, and certainly not Emma, my girlfriend. Emma, with her bright laugh and sharp intuition, could sense when I was hiding something, yet she had no idea about the little secret I kept tucked away in the back of my closet. Dresses, skirts, makeup, and heels, all neatly organized and waiting for the moments when I allowed myself to explore another side of me. By day, I was the typical guy, working a mundane 9 to 5 in a small marketing firm, making presentations, answering emails, and trying to keep my boss happy. My life was structured, predictable, and safe. At night, though, my little sanctuary became a playground of self-expression. I wouldn't call it a hobby exactly, it was more like breathing, something I needed but could never let escape into the open. I had tried crossdressing before, mostly in private, but something about tonight felt different. Maybe it was the tension building all week at work, the way Emma had been unusually cheerful this morning, or the way the sunlight fell through our apartment window, painting everything in gold. Whatever it was, I felt a restless energy stirring inside me, pushing me toward that small, red tube that sat in my makeup box like a forbidden treasure. Our apartment was quiet as I slipped in the door after work. Emma had gone to a late yoga class, leaving me with a rare few hours to myself. Normally, I would have dabbled cautiously, pulling out a simple outfit or putting on a pair of flats, easing into my transformation like a practiced ritual. But tonight, the energy in me demanded more. I wanted to feel completely different, to become someone I had only glimpsed in mirrors before, someone that made my heart race and my skin tingle with anticipation. I closed the door behind me, locking it with a soft click, and immediately felt the surge of freedom. There was no one to judge me here, no one to question why I was drawn to skirts, soft fabrics, and the subtle curve of eyeliner. I stepped toward my dresser, the familiar weight of excitement pressing down on my chest. The drawers held everything I needed: stockings, skirts, blouses, and shoes that I never dared wear outside. Tonight, though, I was starting small. I wanted to experiment, to test myself with something simple, something that felt both daring and intimate. That's when my eyes landed on the lipstick. It was a shade Emma had worn once, a bold crimson that had made her look radiant and powerful. I had watched her apply it in front of the mirror, fascinated by the way her confidence shifted as the color touched her lips. My fingers trembled slightly as I picked it up, feeling the smooth tube, the promise of transformation it held. I sat down on the edge of the bed, my heart racing faster than it had in years. Could something as small as a swipe of color really make me feel different? Could it make me look different, not just to myself, but to anyone who might catch a glimpse of this secret side of me? As I twisted the cap open, the faint scent of wax and rose petals filled my senses. My hands were a little shaky as I applied the first layer, carefully outlining the shape of my lips. I paused, staring into the mirror, and felt a jolt of recognition and disbelief. The reflection wasn't entirely me anymore. The subtle change was intoxicating. My lips seemed fuller, more expressive, and my face, God, my face, looked softer, delicate in a way that made my pulse skip. I swallowed hard, trying to steady the rapid beat of my heart. I had done this before, yes, but tonight it felt different. Tonight, I could feel every fiber of who I was shifting, bending toward this new identity that had been waiting quietly inside me. The thrill of it was overwhelming. I leaned closer to the mirror, examining the transformation. My usual self, the Ryan everyone knew, was still there, lurking behind my eyes and jawline, but layered over him was someone else, someone daring, vulnerable, and mesmerizing. I traced the outline of my lips with my finger, half expecting the illusion to vanish, but it didn't. I felt a strange, almost guilty pleasure in the act, knowing that this was mine alone, a secret that could shatter if exposed. Even with Emma away, I was acutely aware of the risk. What if she walked in early? What if someone called unexpectedly? Every sound, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic outside, made me tense, reminding me that my fantasy world was fragile. Yet, the fear only heightened the thrill. I wanted to see how far I could go, how complete this transformation could feel. I looked around my room, imagining the next step: the stockings, the skirt, the gentle sway of heels beneath my feet. The lipstick was just the beginning, but it was enough to make my reflection feel alive, almost like I was meeting someone for the first time. Sitting there, alone with my reflection and my heartbeat, I realized something startling. This wasn't just about curiosity anymore. It wasn't just a secret indulgence. I wanted this. I craved it. And for the first time, I let myself imagine what it would feel like to reveal this side of me, even if just for a fleeting moment, to someone who might see and maybe even understand. My hands lingered over the lipstick, the tiniest smile tugging at my lips. I knew the night was only beginning, and the transformation I was about to experience would be unlike anything I had ever dared. The lipstick had awakened something in me, a hunger I hadn't felt before. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I traced my lips again in the mirror, testing the curve, the softness, the subtle shine that made me feel different. Not just different in appearance, but in presence. It was like a switch had been flipped inside me, allowing me to step outside the boundaries I had always confined myself to. The reflection staring back wasn't exactly me, not the me that walked into work each morning, but it was undeniably part of who I had been secretly wanting to be. I took a deep breath and let my fingers glide toward the stockings. They were black, sheer, with a delicate lace trim at the top, lying folded neatly in the drawer. Picking them up, I ran my hands over the silky fabric, shivering slightly as the sensation sent a thrill through me. I sat on the floor, slipping one leg into the stocking, marveling at how it hugged my calf and thigh, accentuating a shape I hadn't really noticed before. Pulling it up slowly, I felt my pulse quicken. The act was intimate, almost ritualistic, a secret celebration of self that no one could witness. Next came the skirt. I had chosen a soft, pleated piece, modest yet elegant, its pale pink color catching the golden evening light streaming through the window. Holding it against me, I paused, my heart thumping. Could I really do this? Could I step into the skirt and let myself become someone else for a few hours, someone free from judgment, expectation, and the weight of my usual persona? The thought made my hands tremble. Slowly, carefully, I slipped it over my hips, adjusting the waistband until it sat just right. The fabric swished around my thighs as I moved, sending a wave of unfamiliar delight through me. I caught myself in the mirror again, spinning slightly, watching the skirt flare just enough to make me feel playful and delicate at the same time. I was acutely aware of every movement, every sway, and how the stockings complemented the soft curves of my legs. It was intoxicating. And yet, beneath the excitement, a thread of anxiety ran through me. What if Emma returned early? What if someone called? The reality of exposure, of being caught, was always just beneath the surface, teasing and sharpening my senses. But the thrill only made the experience richer. The fear became a companion, heightening the pleasure of my secret transformation. Next, I reached for a blouse. Light and silky, with a soft floral pattern, it was feminine without being over the top. Sliding it over my shoulders, I felt a rush of warmth and vulnerability. The fabric clung to my chest, subtly altering my silhouette, and for a moment, I almost gasped at the reflection. The mirror showed someone I didn't recognize fully, yet somehow, it felt more authentic than the version of me everyone else saw, every day. I ran my fingers through my hair, thinking about the wig I had tucked away for occasions like this. Tonight, I wanted to push the boundaries to see how complete I could make this transformation. The wig was long and chestnut brown, soft to the touch, with a natural shine that would pass in any light. Placing it gently on my head, I adjusted the cap, feeling the fibers settle around my face and shoulders. I tilted my head, observing how the hair framed my features, softening the angles of my jaw and cheekbones. The effect was subtle, but undeniable. With the stockings, skirt, blouse, and now the wig, The reflection staring back at me had morphed into something enchanting, someone delicate, feminine, yet undeniably alive with curiosity and thrill. I couldn't help but move closer to the mirror, studying every detail. My lips, bold with crimson, my eyes, subtly highlighted with eyeliner and mascara, my skin, smooth and slightly flushed from the adrenaline coursing through me. Every part of my body seemed heightened, alive in a way I had never experienced. I ran my hands over the curve of my hips, the smooth line of my legs, and shivered at the sensation. The excitement was almost overwhelming, mixing with nervousness into a cocktail of emotions that made me giddy and cautious all at once. Even with the thrill, doubt crept in. What was I doing? How far could I take this before it became reckless? The thought of Emma returning early tightened a knot in my stomach, but I couldn't bring myself to stop. Tonight was about discovery, about embracing the part of me that had remained hidden for so long. I wanted to see the limits, to feel the intensity of becoming someone else without losing touch with who I really was inside. The tension, the danger, the secrecy, all of it was part of the experience. I decided to add one final touch, a pair of heels. They were modest but elegant, black with a small strap around the ankle, their height just enough to alter my posture, to change the way I moved. Sliding my feet into them, I felt a jolt of awareness. Walking in heels was always a challenge, and tonight I welcomed it. The delicate clack of my steps against the wooden floor echoed in the quiet apartment, each movement teaching me how to carry myself differently, how to inhabit this new persona fully. I walked toward the mirror slowly, testing balance, watching the way my legs elongated, how the skirt swayed, how my reflection responded to the smallest tilt of my head. And then it happened. I caught a flicker of something unexpected in the mirror, an unfamiliar confidence, a boldness I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. The Ryan everyone else knew was there, yes, but layered on top was someone entirely new, someone daring, playful, and alive with possibility. My pulse quickened, my heart raced, and for a moment, I allowed myself to imagine stepping outside, letting someone, anyone, see this version of me. The thought was terrifying, exhilarating, and intoxicating all at once. But the fantasy was interrupted by a sudden sound, the click of the front door opening. My stomach dropped, a wave of panic washing over me. Emma? She had returned early. My mind raced. Should I hide? Should I change back instantly? My hands shook as I fumbled toward the wig, my heart hammering in my chest. Footsteps approached, and I froze. My reflection in the mirror stared back at me, crimson lips and all, and I realized that I was teetering on the edge between fear and exhilaration. If Emma saw me like this, if she understood, what would she think? Would she laugh, judge, or, heaven forbid, reject me entirely? The question hung in the air, impossible to answer, as the footsteps grew closer and the door handle began to turn. My breath caught. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to hide, to vanish into the person I had been before this moment. And yet, a defiant part of me, a part that had never been fully free, wanted to stay, wanted to be seen, wanted to step fully into this new identity and experience the rush of living authentically, even if only for a fleeting moment. The tension tightened around me like a coiled spring. The door clicked, and Emma stepped inside, humming softly. She stopped abruptly, eyes widening as they swept across the room, and then landed on me. The room fell silent. The air was thick with unspoken questions, electricity, and fear. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I met her gaze, unsure whether to smile, explain, or flee. Emma froze in the doorway, her eyes locked onto me, taking in the full effect of the transformation. My pulse raced so loudly, I was sure she could hear it. The soft lighting of the apartment made the shimmer of the lipstick and the sheen of the stockings even more pronounced, and for a moment, I felt exposed in a way that was both terrifying and intoxicating. Ryan? Her voice was tentative, unsure. There was no anger, no immediate judgment, only surprise, but that alone sent my stomach into knots. I swallowed hard, unsure what to say, unsure if I even could. I just, I started, then stopped. Words felt inadequate, clumsy, incapable of expressing the whirlpool of emotions inside me. Fear, excitement, shame, thrill. I was standing there in heels and a skirt, chestnut wig perfectly in place, red lips gleaming, and suddenly, the entire world had shifted. Emma stepped further inside, her gaze moving slowly over the ensemble I had so carefully chosen. "You look different." Her voice was quiet, curious, almost hesitant. Every step she took echoed in my ears. The click of her shoes was distant but amplified in the charged silence. I shifted nervously, heels making me wobble slightly. I wanted to try something. Just see what it felt like. My hands trembled at my sides, fingers brushing the skirt, the stockings. Each small motion reminded me of how vulnerable I was, how visible, how exposed. Emma tilted her head, studying me. There was a long pause, and in that pause, I felt every heartbeat, every shiver of anticipation. Would she laugh? Would she judge? Would she step back and never look at me the same way again? Instead, she smiled, small, tentative, but undeniably there. "You look beautiful." Her words hit me like a lightning bolt, sending a mix of relief and further anxiety through me. Beautiful. The word itself carried weight, significance, affirmation. I had feared rejection, humiliation, yet here it was, acceptance. But acceptance wasn't simple. The tension of the moment didn't ease. It shifted, becoming a delicate, fragile thing, as if it could shatter at any moment. I exhaled shakily, a laugh escaping me despite the fear. "Thank you." I wasn't sure if it was right. I gestured to the outfit, the stockings, the wig, the heels. The mirror behind me reflected both of us, our expressions, the tension, the thrill of this fragile revelation. Emma took another step closer, curiosity brightening her eyes. Show me how it feels, if you're comfortable." Her words were gentle, but they carried a weight I hadn't expected, a permission, an invitation, a challenge. My stomach twisted. Could I really? Could I step fully into this persona in front of her, risking everything, revealing the hidden part of myself I had kept secret for so long? I nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Okay, I think I can." I moved cautiously toward the living room, letting the fabric of the skirt sway with each step, feeling the heels stabilize beneath me. Each movement was a revelation, an exploration. The subtle clack of the heels against the floor, the sway of my hips, the gentle brush of the wig against my shoulders. It was intoxicating, addictive, terrifying. Emma followed, her eyes wide with fascination. She didn't touch, didn't comment further, but her presence was electric, a silent acknowledgement that made the risk worth it. I twirled lightly, testing the skirt, testing myself. The mirror reflected a new version of me, confident, playful, and undeniably feminine. I couldn't stop glancing at my reflection, each movement a mix of pride and vulnerability. Suddenly, the phone rang. The shrill sound shattered the delicate bubble of intimacy and tension. My heart skipped, panic flashing through me. Who could it be at this hour? Was it a neighbor? A delivery? The ringing seemed impossibly loud, the seconds stretching out as I debated whether to answer. Emma glanced at me, eyes questioning. "Do you want me to?" She gestured toward the phone. I shook my head, too flustered to speak, feeling the sweat prickling my skin. I reached for the phone, trying to maintain composure, heels teetering beneath me. The call was from my boss. "Ryan, I need you to come in tomorrow morning. Big meeting. Don't be late." My stomach sank. Work. Reality. The outside world was creeping in, threatening the fragile freedom I had created in this private, suspended moment. I hung up, heart racing. Emma tilted her head, concern flickering across her face. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. I nodded, but the tension remained. The mirror reflected more than just my transformed appearance. It reflected the precarious balance between secret desire and public reality, between exhilaration and fear. Then, the unthinkable happened. The apartment door opened. unexpectedly. My neighbor, Mrs. Hayes, a nosy but generally kind woman, stepped inside, carrying groceries.
Oh,
I didn't realize anyone was home, she exclaimed, eyes widening as they landed on me. The shock in her gaze mirrored the panic that surged through me. I froze, heels locking, skirt swaying precariously. Emma's hand instinctively went to mine, squeezing lightly, a silent signal of support. I had to think fast. Should I explain? Hide?
retreat?
Mrs. Hayes's gaze was curious, a flicker of confusion crossing her face, but not judgment. The tension thickened, every second stretching impossibly long. Just trying something new? I stammered, voice barely steady. The words sounded absurd even to me, but it was the only explanation that might placate curiosity without revealing too much. Mrs. Hayes's eyes softened. "Well, it suits you," she said finally, a gentle smile spreading across her face. Relief and disbelief collided in me. She hadn't judged, she hadn't recoiled. But the near discovery had escalated the stakes, reminded me how fragile my secret world was. I sank onto the sofa, adjusting the wig, the skirt, the stockings. Every inch of me thrummed with adrenaline. Emma knelt beside me, her eyes shining. "You okay?" she asked softly. I nodded, though my pulse still raced. The thrill of exposure, of almost being discovered, only heightened the exhilaration. We spent the next hour in delicate tension. Emma and I explored small, intimate interactions, her brushing a stray hair from my face, adjusting the hem of the skirt, complimenting my makeup, all underscored by the constant awareness that the world outside could intrude at any moment. Each touch, each glance, each word carried weight, amplifying the emotional stakes. And then the moment came. I caught a reflection in the mirror, a slight slip of the wig at the back, a strand loose. Panic surged. If Emma noticed, if anyone noticed, everything could unravel. I froze, hands trembling, breath shallow. The symbolic fragility of the wig mirrored the fragility of my hidden identity. Emma noticed. Her hand reached up, gently adjusting the wig, her fingers brushing mine. "There," she said softly, eyes meeting mine. The tension released slightly, but the awareness remained. One misstep, one accidental slip, and my secret life could be exposed. The doorbell rang, a sharp, insistent sound that made my heart leap into my throat. Who could it be now? The neighbor had left. This was new, unexpected. Emma and I exchanged a glance, both of us frozen in suspense. My mind raced through possibilities. Delivery? Stranger? Someone from work? The ringing continued, echoing through the apartment. Every second felt like an eternity. I could feel my heart pounding against my ribs, the adrenaline sharpening my senses to a painful clarity. My reflection in the mirror stared back at me, crimson lips, delicate blouse, swaying skirt, heels poised, a perfect image, poised on the edge of revelation. Emma whispered, "Do you want me to get it?" But I shook my head, knowing the moment demanded I confront it myself. Taking a deep breath, I stepped toward the door, hips swaying carefully in the heels, each movement calculated, controlled. The anticipation made the air heavy, thick with possibility and fear. I opened the door and froze. The person standing there wasn't anyone I expected. Their expression was unreadable, a mixture of curiosity and recognition, eyes scanning me from head to toe. The world seemed to tilt. My secret, my hidden identity, my carefully constructed persona, everything hung in the balance. Every heartbeat, every breath, every inch of exposed skin, the vivid lipstick, the stockings, the skirt, all of it teetered on the edge of discovery. The figure at the door stood silently, their gaze locked onto me, and for a moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath. My chest tightened, my heart pounding in a rhythm so loud I was sure the entire apartment could hear it. Every step I had taken toward confidence, every brave moment of embracing this secret part of myself, now teetered on the edge of collapse. Emma's hand found mine, a small but grounding anchor amidst the storm of fear. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the same mixture of curiosity and anxiety I felt. Neither of us spoke. Words were unnecessary. The tension hung thick in the air, making it almost impossible to breathe. Finally, the person spoke, their voice calm but deliberate. Ryan, or should I say? Their words trailed off, eyes flicking to my reflection in the mirror, taking in the wig, the makeup, the skirt, the heels. My stomach twisted. Recognition? Surprise? Judgment? I couldn't tell. A bead of sweat slid down my temple. I tried to swallow, my mouth dry. My voice caught. The carefully constructed persona I had built over hours, the thrill of this private transformation, seemed ready to crumble in an instant. Emma squeezed my hand, her reassurance clear, even as she whispered softly, "Stay calm. Just stay calm." Her words did little to settle the storm inside me. The figure stepped closer, and with each step, the fragile balance of my secret life threatened to shatter. "I didn't expect to see this," they admitted, voice tinged with disbelief. I knew you had interest, but this?" My knees nearly buckled. The room felt smaller, air thicker, and every second stretched into an eternity. I felt exposed in a way I had never known, completely vulnerable, yet there was a strange thrill in it too, a dangerous, intoxicating mix of fear and excitement. Emma's grip tightened. "It's okay," she murmured, trying to soothe the chaos of emotions whirling inside me. "You're still you. Nothing's changed." Her words were meant to comfort, but the reality of being discovered, someone else seeing me like this, was overwhelming. I took a shaky breath, forcing myself to stand taller in the heels, to meet the gaze of the unexpected visitor. I just wanted to try it, to see what it felt like to be me like this, I admitted, voice barely above a whisper. My hands trembled at my sides, brushing the skirt instinctively, a protective gesture, as if shielding this delicate, newly discovered side of myself. The figure nodded slowly, their expression unreadable. "I see. I didn't mean to." They hesitated, and I felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on me. Would they judge me? Reject me? Laugh? My pulse raced, every nerve in my body screaming in tension. Then, suddenly, the phone rang again, shattering the fragile silence. Both Emma and I flinched, eyes darting toward the sound. Another interruption, another layer of suspense, pulling me further into the unpredictable chaos of the evening. Emma's eyes widened. "Someone else?" "Now," she whispered, panic flickering beneath the calm veneer. I could only nod, my mind racing. The world outside, the mundane routines of daily life, kept intruding, threatening to collide violently with this fragile bubble I had created. I turned back to the visitor, who now had a small, enigmatic smile. "Looks like you're not done surprising people tonight," they said cryptically. Their words sent shivers down my spine, a combination of fear and intrigue. What did they mean? What could happen next? I felt the wig shift slightly, a strand falling forward. Reflexively, I reached up to adjust it, aware that even the smallest detail could betray me, expose the secret I had worked so hard to protect. Emma's hand mirrored mine, gently fixing the wig, a silent gesture of solidarity, but the moment was charged, fragile, electric. The visitor's eyes followed every motion, and I realized how exposed I was, not just physically, but emotionally. Every hesitation, every flicker of vulnerability, was visible. Every inch of my carefully crafted persona could be unraveling before me. Then, the visitor took a step back, their expression unreadable. "I'll just leave you to it," they said finally, turning toward the door. Relief and dread collided in equal measure. I had survived this first encounter, but the tension didn't dissipate. It only grew heavier, layered with the unspoken question of what they now knew, what they might think, what could happen next. As the door closed, the apartment fell silent again, save for our rapid breaths. Emma turned to me, her eyes bright with unspoken questions and emotions. "Ryan, what now?" she asked softly. I swallowed hard, my hand still trembling slightly. I don't know," I admitted honestly. The thrill of transformation, the fear of discovery, the delicate balance between secrecy and exposure, it all hung in the air, unresolved, impossible to predict. I glanced at the mirror, my reflection staring back at me, red lips, delicate wig, swaying skirt, confident yet vulnerable eyes. I saw both myself and the persona I had become, the duality of my life crystallized in that single image. And then, the doorbell rang again. Sharp, insistent, louder than before. My heart lurched into my throat, adrenaline flooding every nerve. Another visitor? Someone else from work? A friend? Or worse, someone who could change everything? Emma's hand found mine once more. "Do you want me to check?" she asked, though neither of us moved. We both knew the answer. It was me who had to face whatever awaited, who had to confront the fragile tension of being caught or remaining hidden. I nodded slowly, gripping her hand tightly for courage. Every step toward the door felt like walking a tightrope over a canyon, every click of my heels against the floor echoing like a drumbeat of suspense. As I reached for the doorknob, the sound of a low, familiar voice outside stopped me cold. "Ryan, we need to talk." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. I froze. Emma's grip tightened, eyes wide. My reflection in the mirror seemed to stare back at me in accusation and intrigue. My secret life, my transformation, everything I had dared to explore, it all teetered on the edge of revelation. And in that frozen, suspended moment, the story ended, not with resolution, but with suspense, uncertainty, and the heart-stopping question: would I be exposed? What would Emma think? What lay beyond the door?